Hey guys, this is Ty with Barking Squirrel. So we've got a project going on today. I actually already started, so I'm going to kind of show you what we're working on. But we picked up, about a year ago, we picked up a shelter that someone had built themselves that was old. It was a little worn out, but it still worked for our purposes at the time. And we used it for a goat that we had. Sarah had shown a goat one season and did really well. She won first place her first time out. But we, moving here, had to keep the goat at a friend's house. And so we got this shelter, set it up there on their property, and had the goat there for a little while until another friend of ours said, hey, I got goats, bring her out here. She can kick it with our goats. And so that's where she's at now. But the shelter just kind of sat there, and it was in rough shape. It worked, again, for what we needed it for, but it needed some attention. And when we got to looking at our doghouse, you guys can look and see there's Doc laying there being good. He's all excited, wagging his tail. But you can see that igloo house over there. That's really all he's ever had for a shelter. And so we're like, we can do better than that. And what we're wanting to do is create him a shelter that's big enough not only for him to kind of lay down and stretch out in, but one that's going to keep the wind and the elements out. And so even in the coldest of winters, he's got a place to get in out of that weather. And we don't have to worry about bringing him into the house like we did this past winter here a few weeks ago. And so I want to show you what we've got. This is the shelter right here. It is pretty big. I mean, I don't have the distance for my camera to be able to show you that, but you can see that I'm standing here flat-footed next to it, and it's up to my chest at the top. So it's a nice big shelter. It's not quite 5 foot wide, about 4 foot deep and about 3.5 foot tall. So it's plenty of room for him. It's got a marine grade plywood base floor in it, and we'll throw some straw in there with him as well. But what we're doing is all that was on it, sides and top, was pieces of plywood and OSB, just scraps this guy had that he threw together on some scrap 2x4s. So we've gone through and reinforced it, put in angle bracing in there, ran a bunch of 3-inch screws because it just had some real cheap nails in it, galvanized nails. So we ran some screws into it, and we put this siding on there. It's a hardy siding that we put on each of the sides and across the back. I know, don't get me about the lines. We got vertical on the ends, we got horizontal on the front and the back. It's just the way it's going to be. I wasn't going to buy 3 sheets to make this work. I decided, $41 a sheet, 2 sheets would work, and I can live with sideways lines. So it ain't no big deal, but that prevents us seams in there. We don't have to run trim down the seams. So we're going to take some 1x4 furring strips, and we're going to put those on the corners and use those as our corner trim. And then I'll take a torch and I'll burn those, so we'll have that burned effect. But that's what we went with. One of the things we're going to do, what I'm going to set the camera up to watch, is I'm going to add a front to this. So right now this whole thing's been open this whole time. I'm going to take that same siding that we've got, and just like the back, I'm going to lay it on its side, and I'm going to run it from this corner over about 32 inches, about halfway, maybe a little past halfway across it. It gives a plenty big enough door. I thought about going a little further because he doesn't need that big of a door, but we want to be able to get in there and take a rake and a shovel and scrape it out and get the broke down straw and stuff out of there over time. And I just didn't want a real narrow door to have to deal with. So we're only going to go about halfway. That'll still give us about a good 30 to 32 inch opening, somewhere like that. So I'm going to put that across this face right here. We'll get that put in place. So to do that, I'm going to have to put a 2x4 or 2x3 or whatever I can find in my scrap pile, run a board vertically right there that we can screw into. And then the face will be under, and then I've got sheet metal to put on the top. I was able to pick up a trailer load of sheet metal, and that came off of a 30x40 shop. I was able to pull up some used sheet metal and pick that up, and we went and picked that up yesterday after church. And so I'm going to take one of the 10-foot pieces and cut it in half, and that should be plenty to be able to do this top with. And so we'll do that, and then it's going to go right where that igloo house is. We originally were going to turn it and put the back of it facing the north. And the reason for that was, you can imagine if we left this whole front open and the side was facing the north, everything's blowing in on him right here. And so we were going to put the back facing the north. That way it protected him from anything coming out of that. But we want to be able to see him if he's in his house, if we can, from our house. And so we're actually going to put the back facing the fence, the wooden fence back there, and so the front will face this way, which faces our house, and so we can see him from the back door. I mean, it's almost dead in line with our back door. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So okay guys, so we've got that piece on that I told you I was going to do there on the front. So it gives us a nice wide opening, about 30 inches, for us to be able to get in there and clean it out and for him to get in and out of there. So now we're going to start trimming out around the box before I put the metal top on. Just easier to deal with. I don't worry about hitting the edge, and then I can put the corner edging over top of the metal to kind of clean that up as well, so nobody gets cut. He doesn't get cut if he jumps on it. So, and that's going to be our scare, is whether or not he jumps on top of the thing to try and get out of the pen. That may be a challenge for us. We may have to, if we have that issue, we may have to do something different. Maybe put some kind of security around this, because if he gets on top of this, he can jump over the cage. I just don't know if he'll figure it out or not. But anyways, I'm gonna put this on time lapse again, and we'll begin working on trimming out the corners, okay? Okay guys, so I like the look of it. I like what's happening with this. I think it's going to look really good. I'm going to add a piece of trim down there at the base as well, and then the sides and back, you can see I'll probably put one along the base and one on the top, but I ran out of that 1x material. It's just furring strip is all it is, but I'll add that later, just for looks and symmetry. But I like the way it's looking. I'm going to take a propane torch. Well, it's not propane actually. This is called MAP gas. It's what plumbers use when they're soldering pipes, copper pipes and stuff. But it burns a lot hotter than regular propane. But I'm going to use this to burn like around the knots in that pine, and maybe some of just the grain, and anywhere there's ink in the wood, I want to burn that. And it'll give it a burned look. And then later I'll go back with some type of a finish and spread on it, but I won't do that today. like that smell, do you, buddy? All right, well, I think you guys get the effect of it. You can see what it's been doing here. It's looking pretty good. So you may have seen some flames pop up while I was back here. So I don't know if you've ever heard of pine tar, but this is pine wood, and it's got a sap in it that's extremely flammable. And there was just a knot hole right there that would just pour in sap. As soon as I put the heat to it, man, it just poured like a water faucet turning on. So I wanted to burn all that sap out of there. So that spot's a little bit darker. I'll brush that off a little bit. But got back here and the torch went out. So I'm gonna get it relit and finish this up, but I won't let you guys or subject you guys to watching the rest of this. But I'm probably gonna stop here today with this. We're going to probably move it into place over there before I put the metal on it, just so it's safer and easier to move. Nobody's getting cut on the metal and that kind of thing. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't already, click subscribe. Make sure you're hitting that bell as well so that you can get notified when we do put out new content. We've got a lot of new projects. We just got in some planter beds, galvanized planter beds that we're going to be setting up over there. So we'll be videoing that in the next week or so. We've already started some seeds indoors. We're going to start some more in the next couple of days indoors that will be transplants that we can put out into the garden, and then some that we can also sell at a local farmer's market. So plenty more content coming to you guys soon. Y'all have a blessed day. God loves you. I love you. Stay in the Word.